Hello, everyone. My name is Phil, and I'm a doctor who likes to play board games and talk about them. Today's video is a list of the top 10 board games I've only played once and that I would love to return to and play again. As someone who has dedicated time to making videos about games, as well as just wanting to play a lot of different games, both new and old, I have not been able to replay many games I initially really liked, especially if there isn't a digital option to play the game, like an app or something like Board Game Arena. So, most of, if not all of these games can only be played in person that I will mention in this list. I think that these games are worth returning to for a few reasons. One, because I think they're good games, or I just really want to play them again. But also for content creation purposes, I personally want to play a game at least a few times before considering them for lists like my top 10 board games of all time or something like that. I feel that after a few plays, I can rate a game with the criteria that I've developed over time and help rank these games appropriately and properly. So I'll arrange these 10 games in order from my most recent play of it. So that means the last game on the list, my number one, has been the longest time since I've played it that I should return and play it again. And then finally, let me know down in the comments below if you would like to see me play any of these games, or if there are games that you would love to return to that you have only played once or maybe just a few times. With that, let's get into the list. My number 10 is Shackleton Base. I last played this in April of 2025, just over a year ago. Shackleton Base has been a really popular Euro game in the last year. I did a first impressions video of it and really liked my experience. It's a pretty interactive game where you play as a space agency collecting resources to build out structures on the moon. And the game features a few different corporations that you can interact with, each with asymmetric abilities, perks, and ultimately different avenues you can pursue each game, which provides high replayability on top of the solid interactive gameplay. Not only do I want to see more of these corporations in play, but now with the new expansion that was released this year, I feel like this game is set to be a success in the long run with the support it's already gotten and potentially will get later. I continue to see this game being played during game nights I go to on other tables that I see. So I think this game is quite popular and has had quite some longevity for compared to other games that came out last year. And so I think it does deserve an additional play and some additional play time on my end to assess it properly. Number 9 is Art Society. I played this in March of 2025. This game was quite a pleasant surprise for me when I played it. It's a lighter weight game where you bid for and acquire paintings that you place on your wall, which is a tableau that features a placement puzzle to achieve objectives and points based on the arrangements you make. It's a pretty quick game, but it has meaningful interaction with the bidding, and I quite enjoyed the challenge of the tableau puzzle offered. I may not be able to get this to the table since there's no official solo mode, although many solo variants, as I looked up, do exist on Board Game Geek. And because of my gaming groups wanting to usually play heavier games, I might seek this one out sometime in the near future just to try on my own. Number 8 is Ostia. I last played this in February of 2025. I've really been liking my experiences with the designer of this game, Tatsuya Chuo, and there are other games such as Sweetlands, which was in my top 10 of all time when I did that list last year, top 10 board games of all time. And Aqua Garden, new heavier game, is also slated to come out next year. Rosalie is the name of the game. And so Ostia was officially the first game that I played from this designer, which is a game set as merchants in the Mediterranean, which sounds rote and repetitive for being, very similar to a lot of the beige Euros from like 10, 15 years ago. But this game has a solid Mancala mechanism for action selection. And I felt like all the areas of the game and where you interacted with that Mancala, all the different aspects of the game interacted well with each other, from what I remember. They felt more cohesive than the more individualized, quote unquote, minigame aspects of Trojan, which is a game that utilizes a similar action mechanism. Knowing that my local gaming group has this on hand and considering its increasing popularity for this game as well as other games from this designer, I think the likelihood of playing this again will soon rise. And I look forward to playing it again and rediscovering the game, the nuances and strategies of this game. So number 7 is Mosaic, specifically with the Wars and Disasters expansion. When I made this list, of course, this is might be a stretch, choosing an expansion for a game that I've played multiple times. The last time I played Mosaic with the Wars and Disasters expansion was in April of 2024. So it's been quite a bit of time since I've played Mosaic. But I wanted, and still want to return to this expansion because, and for if you don't know, Mosaic is a Civ themed game where you collect and utilize cards in a similar fashion to games like Terraforming Mars and Ark Nova, where you place cards into a tableau for different abilities and icon set collection, etc. It also features a central board where you place out military units and cities, etc., for area majority, for that is applied to scoring rather than direct military combat. So I remember the last time I played this game, it wasn't the best experience for me. I felt like the game itself went a little too long. I did play it at a high player count, and but I felt like everyone, all 5 of us, could accomplish whatever we wanted to, and we cleaned out all of the milestones, the wonders, etc. And so I probably did something wrong in the explanation of the game, or with allowing the game to go a little bit too long based off of where I seeded the end game trigger cards. And so I felt like I need to redeem myself and play this again and see how it plays, especially since I've played a lot of other Civ themed games that I've really liked since then. For example, Epoch's Course of Cultures. And so I would love to return to Mosaic with the Wars and Disasters expansion just to see how it holds up now. Number 6 is Life of the Amazonia, which I also last played in April of 2024. This is a fun bag building game that features resource management that leads to placing out animals onto a shared central board, each with different spatial objectives to score points when achieved. So it kind of reminds me of a bag building version of games like Cascadia. It is a lighter game compared to some of the heavier ones I've enjoyed recently, which is probably why I haven't returned to it. I am afraid of it being a game that doesn't feature as much strategic depth and differences and variations in game to game play compared to the other games that I've been playing recently. But when I think that, I remember how much I enjoyed the game, and despite its complexity. So I think I need to give it another shot to see if it's still fun enough to return to again afterwards, and see if it might have some legs to can offer that continual enjoyment. I am unsure. The last time I kind of really checked into the game, it was harder to find, and so I wasn't really able to find a way to play it in person, but maybe that's different now. And if so, I would like to try it again. Number 5 is Horseless Carriage. I played this in October of 2023. I played this on onlineboardgamers.com, which is where you can play other Splotter games. And Splotter games have been my recent obsession. So naturally, I would want to return to this game. Horseless Carriage simulates the age of automobile construction in the early 20th century, featuring really tight economic gameplay and a spatial tableau puzzle that you construct to build your cars. It's your manufacturing warehouse, as it were. So you need to construct cars, but also add features to them to follow the trends that the consumers want, and therefore, creating this really tight economic experience. When I played it, I felt like I wasn't prepared for how complex this rule set is. And now, having played other Splotter games, I feel like the complexity is quite high when you are learning the game itself, in addition to the strategic depth it offers. So I think I may be better prepared to play this game. It's interesting too, like it doesn't get as much praise as some of the other Splotter games do. And so that may be another reason why I've been hesitant to return to it. Some people say it plays very repetitively, like it's not as nuanced as it might be, but I want to find that out for myself. And I think I'm mentally ready to handle this Splotter game. Number 4 is Inventions. I last played this in May of 2023. This Lacerda game is his take on an ancient civilization setting where you take turns discovering new ideas and inventions and spreading your knowledge across the known land. It's not regarded as one of Lacerda's best big box games, but in a collection of games that are all very highly regarded, highly rated, a really good game such as Inventions may feel overshadowed by the other spectacular designs. You have Speakeasy, which released recently, and how much praise that's gotten. It really pushes down maybe some of these other titles that may have some merit as well. I felt like I liked the game when I played it, but similar to Horseless Carriage, I felt like I had discovered Lacerda games uh, a little too early, perhaps, to really appreciate them. I wasn't as prepared for this complex game. So, in a similar fashion, I feel like I've played many other Lacerda games. I've primed myself to perhaps revisit this game and rediscover it to see if I enjoy it and where I would place it in the pantheon of other Lacerda games. Number 3 is Caverna with Frantic Fiends. So I last played this expansion in April 2023. This is my last expansion on this list. And I do want to explain this in particular really does change Caverna in a different way, in so that it makes it feel like a different game. It is the latest expansion that unfortunately wasn't received very well by gamers. This it creates a situation where you are trying to fend off orcs invading your farmland. You do so by various methods, such as befriending them or laying traps for them, attacking them, and so you have this kind of side quest that's offered in addition to all the normal stuff that you're doing in Caverna. It offered some new buildings and a smaller selection of buildings to build from to kind of create some variability in what you can build into your cave. But, other than that, I think some of the reasons why it may have been poorly received is that it kind of creates some complexity in the game that doesn't need, some people don't feel like it needs to be there. The It's not compatible with the first expansion, the Fantastic Folks, I believe it's called. And so, there were a couple of downsides that people mentioned from it. I was in the minority where I kind of liked it the first time I played it because it did differentiate itself with this expansion. And talking about Caverna, differentiating itself from Agricola and the base game of Caverna, which felt pretty derivative at the time. I've come to appreciate Caverna more as I have played it more and trying to master it. And so I'm very curious to see if I still enjoy Frantic Fiends and if it's still a fun experience. And so, yeah, I'm willing to give this one another shot. Number 2 is Clinic. This was last played by me in August 2022. So this is a very heavy game about running a hospital. It's like a hospital administration simulator rather than like a game similar to Dice Hospital, where it's more focused on physicians treating patients. And since I'm a physician myself, that's why I was drawn to this game, to see if it simulated what I had learned, uh, how medicine and administration works in real life. But it was quite a heavy game, especially considering some of the other heavy games that I've talked about. It definitely was over my head, for almost 4 years ago. And so recently I saw this on Kickstarter again for a new expansion, and I think the big box. And so this brought to mind this game recently, and so I've been thinking about it and want to return to it, and was surprised about how long it had been since I had played it. And so, it's on my radar again, and hopefully I'm once again more prepared to play it. And my last game on this list is Anno 1800. I last played this in May of 2022. This is probably at the top of just games on this list that I really want to play again, but it's also fitting that it's been the longest since I've played it. It's a Martin Wallace design, of a board game adaptation of a video game, the video game Anno 1800, where you are building up industries in the 1800s, acquiring resources, and then often trading them with other players in this game to fulfill contracts in hand. Sounds very basic. There is more to it, but I think it's a design hallmark of Wallace to make games that sound pretty simple when you explain them, but have a lot of strategic depth. And so I really liked how approachable this game was, even without having played the video game. I think I had a hard time playing this game again because at the time there wasn't really an official solo mode. I think I two-handed it on like Tabletop Simulator since we were kind of crawling out of the pandemic at this time. And since then the game has kind of been out of print. I know there was an expansion that was released a year or two afterwards, but I never was able to seek it out. I didn't have the board gaming opportunities that I currently have to play this game with. And so yeah, it's one of those that kind of just went out of print and kind of out of mind. But I would love to return to this game. I've really enjoyed a lot of Wallace's designs since then, and would love to add this to my list officially to games that I consider my favorites. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 games that I'd love to play again since I've only played them once. Let me know again what games you need to return to the table, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.